Hey. Oh, hey, how are you? I got this for you. You got me coffee? Here you go. Thank you so much. So, how's your dip going? Great. I cannot believe that you are going to be a doctor. I'm not going to be a real doctor. At least that's what my grandmother says. Sandy. What's your title? Army Officer Development, leading during a pandemic. Ooh, that's a good one. What is your problem of practice? What's my pop? Pop. Well, the Army Leadership Development Strategy was published in 2013. In 2013, it outlined these components and domains as well as a timeline. However, I think ADLS is like a timing belt on a car. Timing belt on a car. I don't think it's properly synced. Oh yeah, that makes sense. Timing belt is off, nothing's synchronized, and your car's not gonna run. It's making it difficult for Army officers to lead in chaos. Where's your proof? Well, here are some symptoms to back it up. Number one, professional military education is to provide competencies and attributes to operate successfully in any environment. Do you know in 2018, the National Security Strategy indicated that PME was stagnant? What? 56% of overall leaders rate their PME experience as effectively improving their competencies. 56%? That's almost half. That is almost half. Here's where it's interesting. 57% of junior officers, lieutenants, and captains have a negative response towards PME. Mid-grade to senior officers, majors, lieutenant colonels, and colonels, 58% had a negative response on PME. 58%? Can we talk about the competencies developing others? Yes, let's talk about that. For the last 8 years, there's been a decline in developing others. Tell me more. Currently, 1/3 are not developing leaders. 37% of leaders are not actively engaged and even talk to their subordinates. What, the cat's got their tongue? 40% do not even engage to tell their subordinates how they can improve. That's crazy. And 49% of leaders don't even talk about career progression. Really? And on top of that, 47% don't even do quarterly counselings. They don't counsel their soldiers? And the quarterly counselings that do take place, only 39% are effective. 39% effective? Well, it's unfortunate, leaders have competing demands and they can't even develop their subordinates. Do you know that 51% of leaders don't even have time to develop themselves? 51% don't have time to develop themselves? So, you know how in 2013 I told you that the Army Leadership Development Strategy was published? Yeah. Well, they also came out with something called the MSAF. Oh, yeah. That's a 360 assessment. It was awesome because it was a 360 view. But wasn't the 360 assessment eliminated? It eliminated the 360 assessment. Can we talk about effective leadership? They think creatively, and they find these solutions that really reduce workload. That's important. It's so unfortunate because, disengaged, underdeveloped leaders have the opposite effect. True. And when leaders are like overly busy, they can't even focus on the future because they're just like reacting. That 28% say that workload stress is a serious issue. It's been like at a steady incline since 2009. It's increased 7%. 61% say that it's insufficient personnel. 47% say that like time constraints add to workload stress. 37% of leaders think that senior leaders give bad guidance. Senior leader bad guidance. 30% of leaders reported very poor organizational climates. Organizational climates are super important. So basically with my pop, I think the root of the problem is the Army leadership development strategy and timing of PME. I think PME introduced early in an officer's career, their attitudes would be different. Your theoretical framework. So I'm actually kind of using three. I'm going to use the Kniffen framework as a base. Ooh, let me show you. That's going to be like the foundation. The foundation. Strong base for decisive action. Chaotic, complex, complicated, and simple environments. It's such a powerful tool. You're right. Kniffen framework is such a powerful way to grow roots and have a leader feel confident in their decision making. Because decision making is like all of it. You know, intrinsically as a leader, they're always going to be reflecting on what their decisions are. Decision making base. Good, stable decision making. So I'm using these strategies of VUCA. I love VUCA. Vision, understanding, clarity, and agility. Because these strategies have embedded competencies. Ooh, embedded competencies. For the walls, I'm going to use 4 strategies of VUCA. I'm going to use this glass as a representation. It's like, let's just pretend it's a square. And we're going to put that here. And this is going to be the VUCA framework. Ooh. And they are useful during a volatile, uncertain, complex, and ambiguous environment. I think they interlock seamlessly with the foundation, creating a strong structure. And you know, strong structures are very important. Oh, and then the third framework I'm going to use, I'm looking at this as the Cotter's 8-step to lead change. And I'm going to use this as my roof. This is a sense of urgency. This is form a coalition. This is create a vision. This is to communicate a vision. This is to remove obstacles. This is to create benchmarks. And right here is your anchor. And I'm going to put it on top as your roof on the house. The roof is on fire. The roof on the house. That looks cool, right? So cool. So if you look at it as a house, it's a house. So basically that's your conceptual framework. And want to know what's crazy? Tell me what's crazy. The Army actually created VUCA. The Army created VUCA! And they actually teach these frameworks when you're like at 18 years of service. Wow, that really does interlace perfectly. Oh my God, this is so exciting. This is so exciting! Throughout over a century, Army leadership development has been like the topic. All of these underdeveloped leaders were having this detrimental effect on the Army. Major Army studies, there's the 1945 Giroux Board study, the 1945 Eddy Board study, the 1958 Williams Board study, the 1966 Haynes Board study, 1970 Study of the Military Profession, the 1971 Norris Review, the 1978 Harrison Board, the 1985 Professional Development of Officer Study, the 1997 OPMS reports, the 2009 Armed Service Committee hearing of officer professional military education. And then when you look at it all together, it's sound decision making and understanding the different environments that you're going to work in and how to make decisions in those environments and making things not as chaotic around you as if you're in that bubble and all the things around you are your actions, additional competencies, and then you got this anchor, and right here is your sense of urgency, and that is like the spear of change. That is the conceptual framework. What are your questions? Does the Army Leadership Development Strategy prepare officers to operate in a VUCA environment? Does officer decision-making allow officers to lead their organization during a pandemic? And what degree do leaders possess competencies to operate in a VUCA environment? And this is how it all links together. Thank you so much for having coffee with me. I know, and talking to me during COVID, because nobody talks to me, ever. But I talk to you. Yeah, that's true. I think I talk to you too a lot. Like a lot. Like a lot. Am I talking to myself? Yes, you are.